Ladies and gentlemen, for science, first skill crit damage. Could be either one of two things. The very first hit of the match to do extra crit damage, the very first hit of a multi-hit to do extra crit damage. Or something completely else, because first skill crit damage sounds very strange to me. So let's apply that thing. We have illusion, we have 2 units over there, we're gonna amputation magic the rest. So I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. Okay, don't use that skill, thank you. So okay, let's see what we can see on the hits. So we have 3.9 or 9.3s. I think it's the first hit in... Yeah, that would make most sense, because this is 4-9 and then it drops to 9 once. So I think it's the first hit in the multi-hit. I do want to test, however, if... Yeah, that's kind of hard to test right now if it's just S1. S1 is close to 8-9. Let's see if I do an S1 right now, if that's still around that 8-9. Don't provoke me. Thank you. Okay, let's see if that's still an 8-9. Yeah, around same-ish. So I guess it's the first hit of a multi-hit every hit. The thing is, technically, if I want to proper test it, I would have to amputation magic twice in one match, technically. Oh, we got a 100... Or, no, wait, 100 bidder? No, wait, a 1 bidder with the text of 00 from Real Vanetta. You bitch. Still appreciate it. But... Okay, I like it. That's actually pretty nice, because you have a lot of units, and it also is AoE. That's what we determined as well. So units like Grogan, Leia probably not, but there's a lot of AoE units that can totally use that stuff if we give a look at it over here. If you just check, like, for example, the single target damage dealers that only have 1 hit, like the Monkey, like the Dragon Knights, pretty much all of them, they're pretty nice on it. You don't want to throw it on an Ethna, of course. Like, pretty much it's actually the thing that they were talking about it, about nerfing additional damage, because they felt additional damage was too strong, for example, on that Ethna, for example, and well, Oracle, so many of those units. Additional damage was very strong, and everything that was just singling damaging was relatively weak. And therefore, they probably made this artifact. Interesting factor is that, for example, Marcia S2, Marcia S2 is going to be the second hit that actually deals damage. So for Marcia, it is technically a worse stat. But would you say, for example, on anything AoE related damage dealing, even Azyros, so technically S2 is a multi-hitter, but Pernas, any of that kind of good stuff, Thessarion, you don't want to put it on because the S2 is a multi-hitting again. So, but there's a lot of units that actually can benefit from it pretty well, including like cleave units, every cleave unit that's just single not single targeting, every cleave unit that's not multi-hitting. So I think it's pretty nice. Why not just put crit damage skill 3? A very good point, very good point. But your argument is also highly invalid, because you can have both lines. So that's kind of the thing, like after crit damage skill 3, what can you add? Okay, additional damage by attack, okay, but if it doesn't have that much value to your specific unit, yeah, at that point, you kind of want to go for that. Like, for example, let's take his normal artifact. Can we actually load the artifacts from this? Yep. So this is his normal artifact. Very good artifact. But let's say that I could change all the lines to whatever I want, right? He doesn't need a skill 3 crit damage. He could use a single target skill crit damage. That one could be useful. But then afterwards, okay, he could go for the crit damage high, he could go for the crit damage low. But technically, the first skill crit damage is a straight up crit damage, whereas the crit damage high and crit damage low are not as great, because the crit damage high and the crit damage low, crit damage high, I don't even remember what are the exact numbers of crit damage high, crit damage low. Let's see, crit damage more. Crit damage more is a 4 to 6. So crit damage more is already 10 times worse for a single target, not even single target. I keep saying single target. For anything not multi-hitting, the first skill crit damage is so much stronger, because the max HP crit damage is only at full HP. Sure, for a cleave like a Poseidon, it's kind of same. You're cleaving at max HP. But the first skill, crit damage, is actually a very strong line. So I kind of like it. Not bad, not bad. That's something they added in very nicely. Plus, farming artifacts right now is actually very chill. Like, I was doing some artifacts farming before. It is very chill. You get all of your artifacts at a plus 15. It's just a lot easier to determine whether you want to keep something or not. Because the moment you click on it, you also see, what did it roll into? And you get some artifacts like this. Like, for example, this, would I actually roll this if I didn't see it right away? Probably not. It's kind of a weird looking artifact, but now I see it and I'm like, 26 on the life drain, max would be a 32. The other rolls are also 2 of maxes. It's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily crazy good, but it's definitely something that might be like, I'll give it a try. Like, why not? Why not? So definitely for those reasons, it's good to farm artifacts right now. And as you maybe have noticed and mentioned and seen with other people, farming the Abyss, I'm still getting data on that stuff and trying out what's good. I'm actually testing some stuff on normal right now. But yeah, the Abyssal Dungeon doesn't seem that crazy good to farm. So at first I was like, you actually don't want to do any artifact farming until the SF Abyss comes out and the PC Abyss comes out. But maybe you just want to farm those 10s because Abyss is not really worth it that to a crazy extent. Plus, it's pretty chill. You don't lose any mana in the dungeon. So if you actually want to actively farm for mana, the upping of runes is relatively more expensive right now because they made the artifacts upping non-existing. So every artifact that you sell is straight up just gold increase or like mana increase. I'm so used to gold from Chronicles, but yeah, actually, if you want to farm just mana right now, I feel like especially if you have a fast team, if you have this team that I also showcased in the other video, and thanks for the 99 bidders, by the way, that I also showed in the other video, this team, but also an easier version with this one on a different build. If you farm it super fast like that, and you see everything plus 15, and you have kind of bad artifacts right now, I think this is your time that you should be farming artifacts, because the lines have been made better. Sure, you have a bunch of lines that are removed that were, I guess, somewhat decent, like the loss by HP kind of things. I think they were decent, but in the end, they went from 40 lines to 33 lines. So technically, rolling in that additional damage by speed is a lot easier. So yeah, I would say this is your time to farm artifacts, because these, I am not too sure yet whether these are the way to go at the moment. And if you already have crazy good artifacts, sure, you don't really have to go for it. But if you know that you're a person that's kind of lacking on artifacts, artifacts are made a lot easier, somewhat more understandable. And the understandable part is not necessarily like, I don't really know like where artifacts are good or what artifacts to keep. Anything, like you just do the math. You see this, it triple rolled something decently high. I keep it. Why? Because it triple rolled. That's the only thing that you have to know about artifacts right now. If it is a hero and it seems reasonable stats and it triple rolled and it's decent high rolls, you keep it. That's like before I was saying like, okay, give everything a try, like a chance to triple roll and then decide whether you keep it or not. People were still selling everything. But now you already see it right away. It's so much easier to know. So yeah, definitely guys, farm your artifacts. And I also leave a video in the description down below to actually for an artifact guide of what is good where and that kind of stuff. I am somewhat thinking, or I was thinking about making a video of going through each individual unit and saying what artifacts I recommend on those. But that video is too depending on where do you use the unit, with who do you use the unit, against what do you use the unit. Is it RTA, is it Siege, is it Arena, is it Defense, is it Offense? You can use like 6 different artifacts on most individual units, maybe even more. So that video is will be too much of a mess. Still thinking about the concept. Maybe I can like make it somewhat smaller and then have it that way. But I also don't really want to make a video of like 2 hours saying, okay, Alulu, recovery S2, recovery S3. Elusia, recovery S2, additional damage artifacts, minus damage to whatever the fuck is hitting her. Susano, vampire, deal more damage, anything more damage, crit damage, whatever. Do not throw additional damage by speed on a unit that doesn't multi-hit. Okay, so yeah, that video would be way too long, but yeah, either out. Guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.